Good day. My name is Beatrice Longchamp, and the micro teaching lesson topic that I selected is social interaction theory by Lev Vygotsky. The objective of today's lesson is to provide background information on psychologist Lev Vygotsky, to understand what is he known for, review vocabulary terms, and to understand how have Vygotsky's theory helped shape psychology and the learning process. Who is Lev Vygotsky? Lev Vygotsky is known for the quote, "What a child can do today with assistance, he or she will be able to do by herself tomorrow." This quote is, in essence, the true meaning behind Vygotsky's theory of cognitive development and social culture. Let's get some background information on Lev Vygotsky. Lev Vygotsky is a Russian psychologist who worked in the post-revolutionary Soviet Union to rebuild psychology. He was born in 1896 in Russia, and he attended Moscow State University, where he graduated with a degree in law in 1917. He studied a range of topics while attending university, including sociology, linguistics, psychology, and philosophy. However, his formal work in psychology did not begin until 1924, when he attended the Institute of Psychology in Moscow. His formal work, however, did not begin until then. It took a while for him to get into it because, as we know, the history in Russia, there were a lot of problems, that political issues or governmental issues that was going on. He applied psychology to those problems, confronting the new state, especially in the field of psychology. He worked to create theories of cognitive development, and you can't speak about a psychologist without mentioning Piaget, right? He conducted research and writing during the same time as Piaget. However, he did not gain notoriety like Piaget during the 1920s and 1930s because of the unrest that was going on back in Russia. His writings were actually banned in the Soviet Union in 1936, and it only became available in the West during the 1960s. And it didn't help that he died of tuberculosis at the age of 38. So his popularity was not as big as Piaget's. He also was a notable writer. He wrote 6 books with a span of 10 years, and his interests were quite diverse but often centered on issues of child development and education. He also explored subjects in psychology, art, and language development. So, for 20 years after he died, it was forbidden to discuss, to share, or to even reprint any of his works. As a result, you could only read in a single library. His works were only available in a single library in Moscow, and you had to get special permission from the secret police. After Stalin's death, that's when his writings were rediscovered, and we were able to learn about him now. He's quite different from Piaget in that everything with Vygotsky is social. He saw the cognitive development as depending more on interactions with people and tools in the child's world. And the tools were actual tangible things like pens, papers, computers, or tools were symbols like language, math systems, and signs. The social cultural theory it comprises of 4 different items. The children construct their own knowledge. Development cannot be separated from its social context. prior conceptions and new concepts are interwoven, and language plays a central role in the mental development. So, we're going to review some vocabulary terms to assist us, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are familiar with. The zone of proximal development, sociocultural theory, and guided participation. Let's start with the zone of proximal development. The zone of proximal development, which is also known as ZPD, is a level of development attained when children engage in social behavior. The full development of ZPD depends on full interaction. The range of skill that can be developed with adult guidance or peer collaboration exceeds what can be attained alone. That's when scaffolding comes into play. It's providing students with appropriate assistance and tools to complete or accomplish the new task. So basically, it's the distance between the actual level that's determined by independent problem solving and the level of potential development as determined through problem solving under adult guidance or in collaboration with a more capable peer. So, in essence, it essentially includes all of the knowledge and skills that a person cannot yet understand or perform on their own yet, but is capable of learning with guidance or with the help of someone else. So here's a better figure of it. If you see in the middle, it has zone of proximal development, and that's where the learner can achieve with assistance, right? But then you have the level of competence. It starts low and it goes high, and then the level of challenge that starts low and it goes high. Now, there's a problem when you go too low, and then there's a problem when you go too high. If it is too low, you can clearly understand that the learner. Now, the sociocultural theory is an emerging theory in psychology that looks at the important contributions that society makes to individual development. This theory stresses the interaction between developing people and the culture in which they live, where all stakeholders play a vital role in this process. I like to think of this process as it truly takes a village to raise a child. Now, Vygotsky suggested that the human development results from a dynamic interaction between individuals and society. So it's through these interactions that the child can gradually learn, and they learn from people like their parents, their teachers, basically stakeholders, people who they genuinely, truly feel care or believe in their. Guided participation. Now, this is the process by which children actively acquire new skills and problem solving capabilities through their participation in meaningful activities alongside parents, adults, or more experienced, knowledgeable others. Now, the knowledgeable others is important because we know that knowledgeable others are any person that truly can guide that learner to getting to that next level. And unfortunately, with me, or fortunately, I should say, I teach middle school. So we do know that peer play a big role within the guided participation. So in my courses, I typically allow a lot of peer editing or participation, even our collaborative learning group, whether we think pair sharing, whether we're having literature circles, whatever it is that we're collaborating, I truly try to get the students involved where they are sharing or bouncing ideas off of each other. Sometimes they don't want to hear it from you, they want to hear it from their peers. So, for this reason, we do a lot of student discourse as well. Vygotsky and language. He believed that language develops from social interactions for communication purposes. Vygotsky viewed language as a man's greatest tool and a means for communicating in the outside world. So, a means by which adults transmit information to children, and also its language itself becomes a very powerful tool of intellectual adaptation. So, it is very important that we see that there are three forms of language. He says that there's social speech, which is external communication used to talk to others. So we typically get that around age 2. There's private speech, which is typically from age 3 when we direct it to ourselves and serves as an intellectual function. And then finally, there's the speech that goes underground, private speech that goes underground, diminishing in audibility where you can't really hear it. It's like your most inner thoughts, and it takes on self-regulating function and is transformed into silent inner speech. So that typically starts from age 7. What are the benefits? How have we benefited from Vygotsky, and what has he done for the learning process? Well, we know that through cooperative learning that difficult tasks are completed. We also know that there's a push for authentic learning and that learners become more motivated because if you are not challenged for the most part, you're typically not going to want to participate or engage in activity for too long. It may be fun initially, but then if it I'll leave you with this quote: through others, we become ourselves. Lev Vygotsky really, truly, indeed made his mark throughout human development psychology and the educational process.